This is the Panasonic S1 Mark II, a video-first hybrid camera that makes most other cameras feel obsolete this year, including some cinema-style cameras. I was invited by LUMIX to Austin, Texas, along with a handful of other incredible creators to the S1II announcement. I've been using LUMIX cameras since the GH4, my favorite being the GH5, and I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. This might be my new favorite in the new phase of LUMIX. In this video, I'll walk you through what sets the S1II apart, explain the video-centric features that videographers will love, and towards the end, share some drawbacks and opinions about the S1II. I do want to say thank you to LUMIX for the invitation to the event, and even though this video is not sponsored by LUMIX, they did provide the S1II sample. But I am not required to say anything specific about the S1II. All of these thoughts and opinions are totally my own. Now here is what sets the Panasonic LUMIX S1II apart from a lot of other cameras. In the S1II, they have a new partially stacked 24 megapixel sensor. That's gonna allow for some faster readouts and possibly even better low light performance. With a faster readout, that is going to increase the speed of the autofocus as well. And let me tell you something, the autofocus on the S1II is really good. Another feature that I believe sets the S1II apart is the new 5.1K open gate setting up to 60 frames per second. This is in addition to the already incredible 6K open gate that we've loved on a lot of the past cameras. I know there's been a few of us that have really wanted a 60p open gate setting. At 5.1K, the S1II delivers. Then we have to talk about the new Cinemascope shoot setting. It's a 2:1 ratio at 4096 by 1728 at 420 10-bit full frame up to 120 frames per second. In this new Cinemascope format, you are gonna get the full horizontal width of the sensor. Those are a few of the newer settings in the S1II that I believe really sets this camera apart, even from some cinema cameras out there right now. But I do want to get into some of the other features that the S1II has. And first of all, it's going to be a very familiar LUMIX weather-sealed body. And then combined with a weather-sealed lens, you have a full weather-sealed system, which is super important. I always say this is super important for where I live, because the weather can be very unpredictable, especially in the winter. The S1II body also features the screen that we've loved on the S1II, which is a tilt, swivel, lean, fold out, however you want to put it. The screen is awesome and is perfect for video shooters who want to get different angles and maybe don't want to have a monitor on the camera. The size of the S1II is the same as the S1R Mark II, which is just a bit bigger than the S5 II and the S5 IIX. If you are looking at cages for the S1 Mark II, it might be best to go with a separate cage, not an S5 II cage, just because of the slight differences in size. You don't want to, cram any buttons or anything like that. The S1II, like the S1R Mark II, has the CF Express card port and also an SD card port, but you can record to the SSD through the USB-C port. And one of the things I really like about these newer body styles is how all of these different flaps on this side, they're all separate. So you can have the HDMI closed off in the headphones and mic closed off if you're just using the USB-C port. That's just gonna help protect a lot of the other ports on your camera. It does have a front record button that you can set to something else if you don't use it, and Kali record lights. Now we need to talk about the new Urban Sports autofocus mode. This is kind of a niche thing to put in here, but I understand, especially for extreme sport videographers, or if you are recording a lot of street dancing or anything like that, this will really come in handy, because sometimes the human detect if like a body gets out of, a normal body position of like standing or walking, you could potentially lose that autofocus on that body. However, with the new Urban Sports, let's say the body is kind of twisted and tweaked in a non, standing format, this will allow for that lock-on on the autofocus. The S1II has 8 stops of dual IBIS, and one of the things introduced on the S1R2 is the electronic stabilization in cropless mode. That is also on the S1II, and it is fantastic, especially if you're shooting with wider lenses. That cropless mode keeps it basically full frame, and I will say the electronic stabilization, LUMIX has that down. If we were doing a great features of LUMIX overall, IBIS would definitely be on there, and they've made it even better with the electronic stabilization, especially in cropless mode. The S1II also features the Cinelike A2 color profile, which was first introduced on the S1R2. And if you want some great right out of camera colors, the Cinelike A2 is a great option. Just maybe do a little bit of an S-curve in there and you will have some fantastic looking color right out of camera. Also coming in a future firmware update, at least at the time of recording this, a future firmware update, you will be able to upgrade to the ARRI C3 color profile. The first for a LUMIX full frame camera. The only other option right now is the GH7. What seems to be pretty standard on LUMIX cameras has not changed for the S1II, and that includes internal ProRes RAW recording up to 5.8K. And I should say internal ProRes HQ recording up to 5.8K. You also can externally record ProRes RAW and Blackmagic RAW over HDMI. This next thing is one of the things I like about the S1II over the S1R2. We're not going to get into comparisons too much in this particular video, but this is a base ISO of 640 and 5000 with that partially stacked sensor. I think you're going to get a little bit better low light performance at the high frequency of 5000, ISO 5000. And with that, you're also going to get 14 plus stops of dynamic range, but you also have a dynamic range boost, which will give you 15 stops. And if you are familiar with LUMIX cameras, you know that it has a bunch of pro video tools. It's no different on the S1II, including false color, luminance spot meter, waveform, vector scope. You have all of those features, focus peaking, zebras. You have all those things on the S1II that are jam-packed into this tiny hybrid body. We do need to talk about a few drawbacks, and one of the drawbacks that I found right off the bat is that it is a pretty power-hungry camera. So if you're not using an external V-mount battery or getting the new battery grip, just be prepared to possibly have a lot of batteries on hand just to, keep powering the camera. Another drawback is the possibility of some overheating at long use case scenarios. The way I use it, I've never run into any overheating issues. I'm usually record on, record off. I don't have long periods of time where I am in any record format. If you're doing like events or, shows and you hit record and you're just recording for long extended periods of time, you might want to just be aware you might have some overheating issues, but I really think that's going to be a use by use case in different scenarios. So why would I say something like this might be probably my favorite LUMIX camera so far in the new phase of LUMIX? Well, this is definitely a video-centric full frame camera. And for me doing professional videography, I'm not doing any photography really, but I love just the ease and usability of LUMIX cameras, and the S1II fits all of those things that I need in a camera for professional videography. Now, I thought the GH7 was fantastic, but now basically we have the GH7 in a full frame form, but with maybe some even better features. For example, the 5.1K open gate up to 60p. That is a great feature to have in a camera like this for those of you who are using open gate settings for vertical shooting or multiple deliverables when it comes to some of your client work. The fact that you now have 60p in an open gate setting I think just enhances that workflow. There's also just a few little things like being able to kind of swap files between your different storage devices on camera, in camera. I mean, that's a huge workflow thing that if you're on set and you all of a sudden need to move things around, you can go ahead and do that straight from your camera. You don't need to worry about putting it up onto any type of computer. So little things like that in a feature-rich S1II just make workflow easier for videographers, for professional work. I don't know, at the price point of $31.99 for the S1II, I don't know if there's any other better options. But here's the main reason why I think the S1II might be my favorite right now in the new phase of Lumix cameras, is just what this camera, the doors that it opens up for future Lumix cameras. Possibly even a future Lumix cinema camera. I don't know, I'm just thinking, let's lose the hybrid body. Let's put this in a cinema camera form for pro videographers. We already have all of the tools that we need. We have incredible shoot settings, almost too many shoot settings when it comes down to it. I hardly use a bunch of these, but now that we have Cinemascope and 5.1K open gate, I'm not totally sure what else we would need. So I have to admit, I'm excited about what the future with Lumix looks like, especially now with the S1 Mark II. So this was an overview of the Lumix S1II. Let me know what you think about this camera down in the comments. We can get a conversation started down there. Are you more of a hybrid shooter? Are you more of a video first shooter? Let me know in the comments. We can talk about this camera. If you have any questions, we can address them down there as well. Again, thanks to Lumix for providing the sample and the invite to the announcement in Austin, Texas. I appreciate that, and I love hanging out with other creators like that. YouTube is recommending a video that's popping up on your screen right here. They think that you might like that video, so go ahead and click that, and I will see you over there.